Hey everybody, it's Dominic from the Primetime Treasure eBay store and YouTube channel. Welcome back to another video. In this video, I am going to go over 10 reasons why sellers should consider blocking buyers from interacting with them on eBay. Now, if you're new to eBay, you may be wondering, what the heck am I talking about blocking buyers? Well, eBay does allow sellers to block buyers from bidding from them, from purchasing from them, or from interacting, communicating with them in any way. It's called the blocked bidder list, also known as the BBL. So you may see that term used on social media or online forums. So if you do, now you'll know what that means. To access it, I could give you all sorts of fancy instructions on how to navigate there through eBay, but the fail-safe way to get there is to just go to Google, type in eBay blocked bidder list. That will bring you right to the page. You may have to log in if you're not logged into your account, but once you're logged in, you just basically you'll get to a screen, and on the bottom will just be an open field that you could type into, and you just type in the username, separate them by commas, and then you'll just hit either submit, save, or OK, or enter, whatever the button says at that particular time, and now the person is blocked. Now, ideally, we wouldn't have to block anybody, but people on eBay don't always go on the best behavior. Some people are unethical, and some people just use poor etiquette. So to protect yourself from having to continue to deal with this type of thing, and to also protect other sellers, that's why this blocking option is important and something you should use to hold people accountable. Because remember, on eBay, sellers now cannot leave negative feedbacks for buyers. You used to be able to do that back in the day. You no longer can. The buyers can leave negative feedback against you. The only way you can leave a negative feedback is by for a buyer is by typing in a negative comment within a positive comment, but that really doesn't have any teeth, because that comment will eventually just keep going down the list and will not show up to anybody as literally a negative, as in the red, which is how negative comments show up on eBay. So chances someone's going to read that are very low, and it's not going to stick out to anybody. So that's why this is an important mechanism that you can use. Let me go over these reasons. These reasons are not in any particular order. It's not a top 10 list per se. Some of them are more automatic for me than others in terms of whether or not I'm going to block somebody. And also, other times it just depends on the specific situation. So, just keep that in mind as I'm going through this list. It doesn't always mean you automatically have to do these things. It's up to you, but they're definitely things you could consider. The first one, though, I would start out with is one that I think should be automatic, which would be if the person has scammed you, or you highly suspect the person has scammed you. The most common scam, or one of the most common scams on eBay, is for someone to open up a return request and then to send you back an item that is the same item but it's damaged. So they're basically just trying to replace a damaged item they have with a new one, claim that the one you sent to them was damaged, and then send you back the damaged one and have you eat the return. So if someone does that, you also should obviously contact eBay. Plus, you should be videotaping yourself opening the return so that you could prove to eBay what happened once you received it back in the mail and opened the package for the first time. Because if you don't do that and then you call eBay once the box is open, then they could say, well, we don't know what happened once you open the box. So that's something that you can use to help yourself out, but then also blocking the person so you don't have to deal with this again. It's basically the principle: if a person fools you once, shame on them for trying to deceive you and carrying out a scam. But if the same person deceives you twice, shame on you, because you could have prevented this by blocking the person. So let's do that, blocking the person, to prevent that happening from you a second time. Other times, it may be a little more fuzzy in terms of whether the person scammed you, but it's highly likely, and in that case I also just wouldn't take a chance and I would just block the person. A good example for me was last year around Halloween time. Right before Halloween, I sold a Halloween costume. It was an adult Halloween costume to somebody. Person purchased it. All the measurements were there ahead of time. Person gets it in the mail, contacts me a few days before Halloween, opens a return request, says it looks great, I love it, but I could tell just by looking at it that it's not going to fit. Which is pretty much impossible just by looking at the package, because it's folded up in the package, so you can't really look at it and tell it's not going to fit. The way you would tell it's not going to fit is by looking at the actual measurements that were included in the listing and on the package, which was knowledge that was available before purchase. So now if the person would have sent me back the item before Halloween, since they opened up this case before Halloween, then fine, we would have just done the return. I would have assumed that, okay, you know, maybe the person just made a mistake and I'll just accept the return. But the person decided to wait several days after Halloween to send it back to me. Now, someone could say, well, maybe the person just forgot, took them a while to get to it. Okay, that's possible, but what's more likely? What's more likely is the person decided to wear the costume on Halloween and then send it back to me. And, you know, there's no way to tell 100% because this is one of these costumes that just, you know, it has basically, it's inside of a plastic container and you just open it up with snap buttons and then you put it back in. So someone could open it, take it out, put it back in, wear it. You would never know. So it's a perfect type of costume actually for carrying out a scam. So because the person wound up sending it back to me about 5 days after Halloween, I am not going to take the chance someone's going to try to rent additional type of clothing from me online, and I do sell other types of clothing, so as a result I just block the person. Now, you don't have to tell the person you blocked them. In some instances I will, and I'll let you know about that a little bit later in terms of instances that I will do that. However, just keep in mind, if you're worried about doing this, the person is not notified that they have been blocked unless they then try to purchase from you again or bid from you again. But it's not like once you submit their name, their username for being blocked or banned, that they're going to get a notification from eBay. That doesn't happen. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's move on to number 2. The number 2 reason would be an unpaid item. So if someone does not pay you, I have a whole separate video on what to do in that kind of situation, but you should be opening up an unpaid item case within 2 days. The person then has several days to pay you, and if they don't pay you, you will get refunded your fees by eBay. But at that point, I would tell you that you should put the person in your blocked bidder list, or your ban list for buyers, because there's a chance that person's going to do the same thing to you again. So you hold buyers accountable in 2 ways in that instance. One is by opening the unpaid item case, because then that will give the person an unpaid item strike, and that can affect them in terms of being able to purchase if they acquire enough of these over a certain period of time. And that also can help protect other sellers, because when that person gets that strike, you can set your seller settings up that you do not accept any bids, or you don't let someone purchase from you who has an unpaid item strike against them in a recent period of time. So that's why it's important to do these types of things, but also, again, protecting yourself in the future from putting that person into the list if they don't pay you for your item. And that's also a particular problem with these unpaid items. If you have your listing up for a while, let's say you have it up for a while, it's acquired, like, it's a 30-day listing, there's 5 days left, you have 8 watchers on your item, person purchases it and then doesn't pay you for it. Well, now all those watchers have moved on to other things. They're looking for your item elsewhere. They may see it reposted or relisted again in the future, and maybe they will buy it. But it just slows things down considerably, and it's just poor behavior. Same thing, by the way, I would mention, this could be a number 3, but I'm going to just lump it together in number 2, is an instant quick cancellation. Someone, especially if somebody does that with an item that you have up that's been there for a while, again, has like 8 watchers on. This is one that could be more judgment involved. If it's something you immediately put up, person purchases it, hasn't had a bunch of watchers or anything like that, okay, no big deal. Person maybe says they made a mistake or whatever. But if it's something that is particularly gathered a lot of attention, and the person then purchases it and doesn't actually buy it, doesn't actually send the money through, and then just says, I don't want it anymore, kind of a buyer's remorse type of thing, well, that I'm not going to be flexible about, and that person is going to wind up going on the block list. So those are, both lumped in together with number 2. Number 3 would be an extreme lowball offer. Now, you're going to get lowball offers often on eBay, so you shouldn't just necessarily block everyone from lowballing you. That's why I use the term extreme lowball. By extreme lowball, I'm referring to somebody who's sending you an offer that's just so far below what the established market value for the item is, especially if the offer they're sending you doesn't even cover the cost of shipping. So an item is worth $60, it's going to cost $10 to ship. The person offers you $4. Sorry, you're getting blocked. And I will actually tell the person, this is an instance, I will let the person know. What I will do is I will decline. I will, first of all, take the person, I'll enter their name ahead of time into the blocked bidder list. Then I will send them an email, which just actually goes through the decline feature. So once you hit decline, you could put a message within there. So within that message, not only will it tell them that their offer was declined, but they'll also get a message from me that's, and it's not sarcastic, like I don't say congratulations or anything, I try to keep it professional, but I say, your account has now been banned for sending in an unrealistic lowball offer. That's it. So now the person will think twice, hopefully, before they do that to another seller, and they're certainly not going to do it to me again because they've been blocked. So just to let people know that that's why you can't go around doing that on eBay. It's just not considered good etiquette to be sending over those kind of offers. And you know, eBay even has within their guidelines in terms of, you know, what's considered, you know, a good etiquette type of offer to a seller. And so a person is violating those guidelines from eBay by sending in extreme lowball offers like that. So that's number 3. Number 4 would be what I consider sarcastic counteroffer. So someone sends you an offer. It's not necessarily an extreme lowball offer, but it is low. You decline it, and the person sends you back another offer that's $1 more. So you decline it, person sends you up another offer that's $1 more. So initially they offered 10, then they offer 11, then they offer 12. So they're being sarcastic. They're not being serious, or we could say sarcastic / non-serious counteroffers. I don't have time to deal with that. I'm busy. So I am going to block that person, because if you don't, I'll tell you what's going to happen. The next day, that person's going to be sending in the same kind of sarcastic counteroffers and initial offers to you. They're just basically trolling you with offers. And, you know, if you don't want to waste your time dealing with that type of stuff, block that type of person. Another instance of a sarcastic counteroffer is, let's say the difference between you is $4.99, and the person initially offered you, let's say $20. So now, you know, basically where you are to meet in the middle would be a $4.99 difference, and the person sends you a counteroffer at $4.99. Or they send you a counter offer that's lower than their initial offer. They initially offered 20. You counter offer, let's say 25. They send you an offer back of 15. Again, person's not being serious. That person I don't want to deal with. I can't negotiate in good faith with someone like that. So that person then gets blocked. So that's number 4. Moving on to number 5 would be unjustified feedback. Now, you can deal with unjustified feedback by contacting eBay, depending on how specific the feedback is. So let's say the person says the back of the book had wear on it, and they left you a neutral or negative feedback. Well, if your listing actually said that in the description, you call eBay, let them know that was in there. eBay will remove that for you because it is an unjustified feedback. But sometimes the person is very vague in terms of why they left a negative feedback or a neutral feedback, and they'll say something like, I wish the condition was better. And let's say maybe it was in great condition when you sent it, or you sent it and you actually had specified that there were some condition issues with the item, but they were just very vague and you know, with their description. You can contact the person, by the way, and try to get them to revise their feedback to move it from a neutral or a negative to a positive. But if all those things fail you, all those things work, and you're unable to get it resolved this way, one way you can resolve it so you don't have to deal with that again in the future if the person purchases from you again is by blocking them from dealing with them again. So that's another way is or another reason would be unjustified negative or neutral feedback. Number 6 would be threatening behavior. So someone could threaten you in multiple ways on eBay. One way could be the person trying to pull off a feedback extortion. So the person could say, if you don't accept my return, or if you don't give me $15 off or $20 off, then I'm going to leave you a negative feedback. Now, if someone does that, by the way, that is considered, like I said, feedback extortion. It's reportable to eBay, and that person can get in trouble. So you definitely want to let them know, but also you want to let eBay know, but you don't want to deal with that again. So you will then go ahead and eventually, once the case is resolved, whatever matter it is you're dealing with, you then move that person into the blocked bidder list so you don't have to deal with that again. Other times, people can make more vague, threatening comments that sometimes you may even have to call the police over. So someone could say, I know you're address, I know where you are, I'm going to come get you, and I'm going to come kick your ass, or something like that. I've never had that happen, but I have seen other people have to deal with these kind of crazy comments, or just something really vague. Remember, I know where you live. Things like that. No place for that type of stuff on eBay, so that person has got to be blocked. And like I said, you might have to report things like that also to the authorities. So there's multiple ways in which you could try to hold people accountable on eBay. It's not all about just blocking somebody and entering them on the list. Sometimes you have to notify eBay or other authorities. Next would be, which can go with threatening behavior, but other times it could be separate, which could be insults. E-yelling. What I mean by e-yelling is all caps, all exclamation points when interacting with you. That type of stuff. Again, I don't have patience for that type of drama. If someone can't hold a civil conversation back and forth online, and it's just going to be trolling, that type of stuff, then I'm just going to block the person, because I can't reason with you, and I can't deal with just someone just leveling insults that especially have no basis in fact. So in that case, the person's going to be gone. So moving on to number 8 would be what I would call ridiculous return requests. So ridiculous return requests would be an example. You send someone an item, and the item is an old book, okay, let's say, and it has some yellowing of the pages. It's a book from the 1800s, but it's very mild, and you said in your listing that it has some mild yellowing, and the person says, no, I don't like it. It's because the book has yellowing of the pages. Well, you already said that in the listing. The person should know that. They didn't pay attention. They weren't reading through the description. They might even say, I didn't read through the description. They send it back. You wind up losing money on it. You have to go back and relist it. I don't want to deal with buyers who are not going to pay attention and read through the actual descriptions and then wind up sending me a return request. So again, if they did this once, chances are they're going to do it again. So I wind up eliminating that person by putting them into the block bidder list. Now again, you're going to have to use your judgment in terms of whether or not the request for a return was reasonable or if it was ridiculous. So it's up to your judgment, but if it's in the ridiculous category, put them in the banned buyer list. Next would be excessive return requests, and this is not just for people on eBay, but major companies are starting to put in rules like this, where they are actually banning people who have an excessive number of returns, especially if they're unjustified returns. But what you get into concerns with is the person maybe renting my item for a little bit. What's going on? They're not paying attention to the listings, to the descriptions. Returns cost money. They cost you money. They cost the system money. It really could be very harmful for a business, depending on how big you are and what the percent of the returns are. Not only that, eBay also is starting to penalize buyers from having a high number of returns. So this is even another reason why you'd want to put the person on the ban list. If someone starts, putting a high number of return requests in, you don't want to deal with that person, because they're going to affect your seller rating on eBay. So that person gets entered right into the block list if they do stuff like that. And lastly would be profanity. So this goes along with some of the other reasons earlier. It could go along with the threatening or the e-yelling. But someone starts dropping F-bombs and cursing at you because they don't like your price, or they're upset, their first interaction with you because they were concerned about an item that they received in terms of condition. They want to return it and they just start cursing at you. Eventually that person is going, once the situation is resolved through eBay, that person is going to get entered into the block list. Now you may have other reasons that you enter people into your blocked bidder list or blocked buyer list. If so, I'd love to hear those down below. I'm sure there's others that I did not mention or have come up with that are good reasons. So I'd love to hear that. Also, be curious to know, probably besides the scamming, what might be your more automatic reason to block someone, because I think that the scamming is pretty obvious that that's an automatic reason you'd want to block someone. But what other one that I listed here would you consider automatic? For me, it's typically the extreme lowball offer, which would be another kind of automatic one. But maybe you have a different opinion. I'd like to hear that if you have one. If you have a question, let me know that as well. If you want other tips and hints and tricks and resources about reselling, please come to my Facebook group. It's down below, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, or all sorts of cool things there in addition to contests. In fact, I'm wearing something from Laura Cohn, one of our members, and we had a contest which I would purchase something from a from one of our members, and so this was one of the things that was purchased, which was a Doctor Who TARDIS t-shirt. I love it, fits really good, so I want to show it off in this video. So if you're watching, Laura, thank you very much for the shirt, and I hope you enjoyed the purchase, and we'll probably be doing another contest like that soon, so come on in and you might be the person who I purchase from next. Also, if you would like to subscribe to this channel, I would appreciate that. We're almost at 700 subscribers, so help me get to 700 by just hitting the treasure chest that pops up at the end and subscribing, or you could subscribe anywhere else on the page that you see a subscribe button, and also make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed the video and pass it on to others. So with that, I'm going to end this one off, and I'll see everyone at the next video. Thanks everybody. Have a good day.